Hi guys, my name is Francesca Regular and I'm the founder of the Inspiring My Generation Corporation. We're a Florida nonprofit for mental health awareness, and I'm here with Katarina from Women Lifestyle LA on Instagram. So I absolutely love your page. If you haven't checked out her page on Instagram, please do. She's so supportive and encouraging and positive. It's just absolutely amazing. So can you tell me a little bit more about your page and why you started it?
Yes, hi Francesca and everyone. Welcome. I'm very excited to talk about women empowerment. So the reason why I started this page because we are going through a pandemic, and I felt like we are very isolated in live communication with people, and as a woman, I feel like I'm not getting enough support, information, maybe on certain things. So I decided to create a page for women that can connect, empower, maybe share information, support, and we can do that worldwide because we have all the technology nowadays. So that was pretty much, the beginning of the reason why I started it. And I think nowadays, especially, women are under a lot of pressure. We are pressured to be, good as mothers, women as, with work, right, and career. Also, you have a family, friends that need your support. And a lot of the times you cannot do it nowadays because, if you have older people or people that have some kind of immune compromised condition, you cannot really go and see them freely as we did before. So I think with social media, it's so much easier now to connect with different women and share information and provide support for one another.
That's absolutely an incredible mission that you have, because it is so important and it's so true, especially with this pandemic, that a lot of people don't have access to the same support that they had. They can't see their friends. A lot of people have gone 7 months now without seeing their loved ones, and it can be so heartbreaking, feeling so lonely and down. So it's really important that we support and encourage each other. So can you tell me more about like some of the ways you think that we can support and encourage each other more?
Well, I think, everyone is going through similar situation since we are not able to freely go and do things, see people. So a lot of the times I found myself a little depressed since I'm not, getting in-person connection with people. So, some people are, for example, working on new goals or maybe pursuing their careers, but with this pandemic you're limited to do a lot of things. So I think we cannot even travel now. So for example, if you want to go on a business trip and meet other entrepreneurs, you cannot do it nowadays. So with the technology, we are able to do that freely. It's just the difference in time.
Very
So
And we've talked about like feeling depressed, kind of being alone and stuff, and that really plays into my page, and why I started my foundation was more for normalizing the conversation, helping people who feel depressed or anxious or have ADHD, OCD, any type of mental illness, and kind of feel alone, and let them know that they're supported. So I feel like our pages both are pages of support and encouragement. I absolutely love. I love women who love to help other people and like support and encourage community. It's so important right now, especially for females, that we are supporting and encouraging each other.
right. So how long ago have you started your page, organization?
So I started in March of this year. I started the Inspiring My Generation like name and that whole like idea of trying to help others about 10 years ago when I was 12. I started
Oh wow.
So my blog was the Inspiring My Generation blog, and I came up with these quotes. And then as I got older, I made like a little podcast with it, trying to kind of just inspire my generation to be the change, to help each other, to be supportive and encouraging. And then in March of this year, I launched the nonprofit.
Right. And are you doing it all by yourself, or you have help or other people
So I
that
have
you work with?
I do a lot of it on my own, but my dad and my brother have been absolutely incredible. They're on the board with me, and they sit there every week with me and listen to all my ideas and what I want to do and help me come up with different ways and organize it. And I have some friends who let me bounce off ideas from them. So I have a big like support group that kind of helps me get myself organized and make sure my ideas are good. Because sometimes you have like 10,000 ideas, you don't know where to start, where to take them. I've been so incredibly lucky to have such amazing support and help.
Right, right. Yeah, you're very lucky. You're so young, and yet you are so, brave and successful at what you do. So, what really motivates you to do all these things? How do you find motivation daily, especially during this, pandemic, where a lot of depression and negativity are in the air?
So I lost my uncle to suicide in the beginning of 2019. And he was the first person who had talked about suicide and mental health and depression and everything like that with me. And we talked about it 27 days earlier after I had attempted suicide. So, like, after I lost him, just 27 days later, after having that conversation, it broke my heart. And to think that we don't have these conversations, that we haven't normalized the conversation, that people feel like they can't reach out for help, that they don't know who to have these conversations with. And I want to be that voice for people who don't have a voice, for all the lives that were lost. So just
Yeah.
about him and how the life he's not going to live because we don't have the community and support where we can talk about mental health and normalize the conversation and get have access to different support and coping mechanisms and stuff that we should have. It should be so freely available, and it's not.
Right, right. Yeah, that's so amazing. I mean, I'm sorry to hear about the loss, but you're doing such a great job encouraging people, to open up about certain issues that are not freely talked, especially on social media. I feel like it's very easy to get depressed because you see all this, pages, I mean, all the information on people's Instagram and social media, and everyone is always posting positive content. So then you start comparing, especially as a woman. I feel like we tend to compare each other to other people, and you say, well, why is their life is so beautiful and all these amazing things are happening, but then you don't realize that they never post anything negative. This in a way, to some degree, a fake content that they provide, make us think that their life is much better.
Yeah,
I think it's amazing to have people just like you that bring us back to reality, that there are problems and it's okay to seek for help and talk about it freely. That's totally normal. We all are humans, and it's every day is not going to be always a good day.
exactly. And I think there's this misconception where if we don't talk about these problems, they won't exist or they'll just go away. And it's not something that's going to go away. The suicide rate in the US has increased by 24% in the last decade. That's huge. If we have go through that again, another 24% increase, we're going to end up at a way too high level of our amount of our population dying from suicide because we're not having these support systems. We're not talking about mental health. We're not educating people on what mental health is and how to have supportive conversations. And a lot of it goes back into the generations before us. Their lives were very different. Social media wasn't a thing. People weren't online being cyberbullied 24/7. People are on social media now at 10, 11 years old, seeing all these very like thin models, thinking, why don't I look like them? A lot of kids, there was this trend on TikTok where kids were kind of encouraging people to have like these diets of under 1,200 calories a day and how to lose weight, like 10 pounds in 2 weeks. And there's all these other pressures that the older generations didn't have. So they don't realize how impactful it is at a young age when now being kind of like shamed on your body at the age of 10, you're being kind of compared to what everyone else is doing and who has more followers, who has more likes. There's a whole extra level of anxiety and stress that's been brought into our lives, and it doesn't turn off. When you leave school, it's not going to go away. You now have social media for all those problems to continue.
Right, right. Yeah, like I said, it's, people always create this positive, perfect image on their social media, but yet we don't really know what the person is going through. I mean, a couple within the last few years, there were a lot of celebrities that on the outside they looked happy and perfect, and then they committed suicide.
Yeah.
That just shows to prove it's not just regular people are going through that. Celebrities that have all the money in the world and support and help, they also go through things like you and I can go through, daily negative things, and just feeling down sometimes, depression, anxiety, especially right now. We with this pandemic, we feel like we're not getting support that we need to. Sometimes you don't have anyone to talk about it, so you then seek help elsewhere. Some people do drugs, alcohol, they try to distract their mind from whatever happening in their life, instead of just maybe seeking for help. And I think it's very important to find those networks, find people that will help you. And there are a lot of very empowering, very interesting people that are willing to help you.
Yeah.
So what what are some healthy ways to promote mental health during this pandemic? What do you think, how to cope with stress and anxiety during this situation where we are isolated?
So I think one of the biggest things that we need to talk about is we talk about social distancing, but it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing. It's keeping 6 feet apart. It's not calling people, it's not checking in on yourself, on your friends, on your family. So more so of calling people and just checking in with your friends and family, saying, hi, how are you? How's your day going? Have these conversations where you're being honest with each other and you're still communicating. Also, something that I absolutely love is journaling, setting my intentions for the morning. Sometimes I like to sit outside and watch the sunrise and set my intentions for the day, what I want to accomplish for the day, kind of a positive quote. And I send all my friends a positive quote every single morning to start their day off. There's just little things that we can do, meditations, positive affirmations. If you walked around my apartment, there's sticky notes everywhere with positive notes and quotes and stuff. I always have a little bit of positivity no matter where I'm going and what I'm doing. So it's little
Very
things that we can do, and following the right pages on Instagram, on Twitter. A lot of us choose to follow all the celebrities who are posting about their amazing lives and they're showing us the good, but a lot of people aren't also following pages that have positive quotes, encouragement, more information, informative. We have pages that will teach you more about anxiety, about depression, kind of learn your symptoms, learn how to cope with them, learn how to have supportive conversations, how to open up to people, how to validate with people, how to connect with people. There's just so many amazing things that are available to us and a lot of people don't know about. And then also making sure that you know the numbers for the Suicide National Prevention Lifeline or the Crisis Text Line, because although we all like to think we're never going to need it, if you do need that number, if a friend of yours needs that number, it's so amazing to know that number. And if we can learn 5-minute or 2-minute TikTok dances, I don't have the app, so I don't know how long they are, but if we can learn these TikTok dances, I think everyone can learn 1-800-273-8255, which is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's more about choosing what to focus on, I think, is something that can really help you cope through this time. Instead of focusing on being alone and feeling alone, focus on ways that you can help yourself feel supported through this time. Why do you feel lonely? I think that's a question a lot of people don't realize, that you find that loneliness within yourself. And if you can kind of heal that wound, then you can kind of be in love with the feeling of being alone and enjoy your own company.
right, exactly. Yeah, it's only when you concentrate and seeing negative things, it will affect your life in a negative way. So we have to try to support each other and concentrate on the positive things. Like in the beginning of the year, I was watching news every day, like probably everyone else, right? And then after a while, I was like, this is really affecting my life in a negative way. So I stopped watching the news, and you kind of have to start using your common sense. You have to filter out what's important and what it's not. We cannot ignore that the pandemic is there, But at the same time, if you start worrying about, talking to people and, doing things like going out and, in fresh air, you still have to go out and talk to people, but you just have to wear a mask, stay away from people 6 feet apart, and just live a life the best way you can and concentrate on all the positive things.
Exactly. I think a lot of people have been kind of taking this time to learn more about themselves. And a lot of people have taken this time to separate themselves from everybody and everything. And I think that is really what's leading to an increased amount of depression and anxiety, because we don't know how to live our lives without people, without being around people all the time. And how do we live by ourselves and take care of ourselves on our own? And to be able to take that question and figure it out for yourself and find within yourself what kind of core wound you have. So a lot of people have this core wound that will translate into their lives as they grow. So for me, it was feeling like I wasn't enough. So to figure out why I felt that way and how I could change that, reframe the thoughts in my head. And every single day I sat down with a journal, and all the negative thoughts I had, I would rewrite them in a positive way and convince myself that it's not about not being enough. It's about that every day I'm growing more and more, and I'm healing, and I'm overcoming past traumas, and I'm becoming the best version of myself. And it's reframing your thoughts and learning how to kind of fall in love with yourself, and being around yourself, I think makes such a huge difference. And I hope so many people are taking this time and this pandemic to look within themselves and figure out who they are and who they want to be.
Right. Yeah, I think, right now more and more people are realizing that, self-love, self-care are very important, because if you don't take care of yourself, then you won't be able to help others.
Exactly.
And there's so many ways that you can, just little things like meditating in the morning, or going for a walk with your dog, or talking to a friend. That's all you need that day. Just be supportive, and always know that you have to be your biggest supporter, your biggest fan. If you are not going to take care of yourself, believe in you, then others won't do that for you.
Exactly. And it's also like giving yourself credit for like the little things, because the little things tend to be the big things. So a lot of people are feeling really depressed and lonely and down during this time, and they're not as motivated as they were. And that's so normal with everything that's going on. Of course, a lot of us don't feel as excited and motivated and determined as we were before. But if you get out of bed that morning and you make your bed, that's still a win. That's still something that you did that you didn't have to do. You could have laid in bed all day. If you decide to make yourself breakfast, you made yourself breakfast. You didn't just order it or go buy it. It's like the little things that you do for yourself, give yourself credit for it, because that really helps you kind of feel that positivity and see it.
Right, exactly. You always have to encourage yourself. Take care of yourself first, because you cannot rely on someone else coming into your life and making it all good and nice and perfect. There's no perfect way to live your life. As long as you are happy with yourself, then it doesn't matter what other people think of your life. If you are happy inside you, then people will feel that energy, and they will not doubt you. They will not try to put you down.
Exactly. I absolutely love that. That's such a great message, because it's true that, and if you look at that with bullying as well too, I think bullying really affects mental health. And during this time, we have like cyberbullying 24/7 on social media. And if you are happy, you're not going to be pushing people down. You're not going to be, people who are bullying each other are not happy. So if you're a happy person, you find that happiness within you, you will spread happiness and joy and laughter and love to everyone around you. And I think that's something that's so important. If we all could look within ourselves and find that happiness and that joy, and get off social media and get off attacking people online all day, I think it makes such a huge difference.
Right. Yeah. If you just concentrate on your own life and just, do what makes you happy, then you won't have time, right, to be negative and say all these bad things to other people. So we just have to, I feel like, supporting each other and promoting positivity and just happiness will make a lot of changes. And I think more and more women are doing it nowadays. Women are very supportive and encouraging. And I feel like when you look at other women who are very successful, it motivates you, it pushes you to be better, complete your task, accomplish your goals in life. And I think it's very important. You have to sometimes ask yourself, what do you want? What do you need to be happy, to be healthy? And sometimes it's very important to say no to others, because a lot of the times people expect you to be there for them, your friends, your family. But if you are going through something that is affecting you in a negative way, you have to let them know that you cannot be there for them, because you need to take care of yourself first.
Exactly. That's so important. A lot of people want to give everything they have to everyone around them. And it's like a people pleasing it's a people pleasing thing where you want to make everyone around you happy. So learning
Right.
that the most important person to make happy is yourself so that you can make others happy. If you aren't happy, if you aren't feeling at your best, you cannot give your best to everyone else. And a lot of
Exactly.
people think it's being selfish, right? Like taking care of yourself. You can't do that. You have to put everyone else first. And especially with females, a lot of times we get that kind of claim of being selfish if we want to put ourselves first instead of putting around our families first and everyone around us first. So learning when it's time to take care of yourself and give yourself a break. Maybe you need just an hour by yourself a day to meditate, journal, go for a walk, something to kind of give you time to reconnect with yourself. Always making sure we're taking time for ourselves is something that's so incredibly important. And a lot of people feel uncomfortable with the idea of taking care of themselves first.
Right. Yeah. Especially women. I feel like we are just by nature wanted to take care of everyone but ourselves. But at the same time, if you cannot take care of yourself, how can you take care of others? So it's not being selfish. It's being, loving yourself. So if you need help, if you need support, I think it's very important to reach out for people. There are a lot of women out there that are willing to help, give advice, suggestion. And there are a lot of groups out there and organizations that help people with that going through certain medical or mental problem. So it's such a great thing to meet you. And you're inspiring me to be better, to do better, and just spread more positive energy and love in the world.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I, again, absolutely love your page. If you don't follow her on Instagram, it's at Women's Lifestyle LA. Make sure you follow it. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. It was great talking to you.
You as well.